I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't even have anything witty to say. The Florida Gators just beat the Tennessee Volunteers' ass all game, and I loved every minute of it.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for getting Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever it's on the podcast and on YouTube. And oh my God, what an ass whooping that was. There's just no other way to put it. The Tennessee Volunteers, 14-0, come into Gainesville and get dominated. They lost by 30. And it's especially amazing because the broadcast at one point in the second half, they were talking about number one teams that have lost by, 20 and 25. And I don't think they mentioned losing by 30 because at the time it was, I think, 51-26 in favor of Florida at that point. And they beat that ass. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know how else to put it. They beat their ass up and down the court. It was crazy. It was 73-43. The Tennessee Volunteers had 35 points with 4 minutes left in the game. Florida had 34 at the half. Like, they just beat the crap out of them the entire time. It was amazing. And the crazy thing is, because this is coming off an ugly loss against Kentucky, where it was a close game, but it felt like you just played ugly, right? And in this game, you didn't play awesome either, at least in terms of, hitting your shots. Like, shooting percentages were not awesome either. Your free throw percentage was significantly better. You shot under 40% from the field, but Tennessee shot 21%. Oh, my God. So, Chaz Lanier, if you watched this morning's episode of Locked On, which in the chat, I see you. There's a lot of you. We have 87 people in here right now. I don't think we've ever had that many people in here when we're talking about Florida Gators basketball. So I just want to say already, we're crazy there. Hi, David Cruz. Big fan of you too. Love you. But this is a thing where if you watch this morning's episode of Locked On Gators, I talked a lot about two players, right? It was Chaz Lanier, who I said you need to keep Chaz Lanier contained. He shot 3 for 16. Even when he was open, he was clanking everything. So he shot 3 for 16. And Zakai Ziegler was the other one. And he shot 4 for 12. And then there was one other big key that I mentioned. And the other big key that I mentioned was you need to keep them off of the offensive glass, okay? And you did that. Sure, Tennessee had 13 offensive rebounds. They missed what? 43 shots? Florida missed 41, but had 19 offensive rebounds. Tennessee turned the ball over 12 times. Pretty bad, right? They just beat the crap. And here's the thing also. I want to make this very clear. I didn't feel bad. Even there was at no point that I felt a little bad. I texted our Locked On Balls host, Eric Kane, and I texted him the video of Jacoby Jackson just belt to ass after the Florida State game. And that's all. I don't know what else to say. And he was like, hey, man, he picked Florida to win this game. But he's like, I didn't think it'd be this bad. But, oh, my God, Ruben Chinyelu, I would die for you. 15 rebounds, 5 offensive. He's just a monster. He's an enforcer in the paint. If it's on offense, he's going for boards. If it's on defense, he's blocking shots and getting boards. He's just a monster. And you did all this with Walter Clayton shooting horribly, getting in foul trouble. You did this essentially without much contribution from Walter Clayton. That's what it was. You did this essentially with not much contribution from Walter Clayton. 3 for 10 from the field to Walter Clayton, 1 for 6 from 3. He had 4 fouls, 4 turnovers. He also had 2 blocks, which is crazy. Also, we're going to take a moment as a as a collective here, we're going to take like 5-10 seconds where we're just going to give a little round of applause to Denzel Aberdeen. We're going to give him that. We are going to clap our hands for Denzel Aberdeen for another few seconds because he played a great game, right? Second most points on the team behind only Elijah Martin. But Denzel Aberdeen is someone that we talked about earlier today on this morning's episode of Locked On Gators. And he was someone that I talked about where I love his defense. He was someone that we talked about after the Kentucky game where it was like, hey, like he didn't play well. He was breaking open shots. What we saw from Denzel Aberdeen, which wasn't an amazing game, right? Like it was a very good game by his standards, one of the best of his young career so far. But what we saw from him kind of felt like this is what we should expect. Like this is what he can give us when he's on. Great defense, harassing defense. And when Walter Clayton was in foul trouble, it seemed like Denzel Aberdeen was the guy that took over as your primary ball handler and your facilitator of the offense. It felt like that was Denzel Aberdeen, and he played so confident. It was amazing. Like genuinely, you can go back to Denzel Aberdeen committing to Florida, and I'm talking about how much I loved him and how great I thought he was. But when you look at tonight's game, like that's what we want from Denzel Aberdeen. That's the kind of confidence that you play with. That's what you do. Like that's exactly what you see. And Denzel Aberdeen brought it. Thomas Hawk brought it. Sam Alexis off the bench came in. I mean, it was just a great game for the Florida Gators. I mean, 73-43. 73-43. You just beat the absolute crap out of them for 40 minutes. And I loved it. I loved it. It was. Was this the lowest scoring? Yeah, so the lowest scoring output for the Florida Gators, 73 points. And you won by 30. And this is a team where we talked about them. I texted the Subtext Insider program. I messaged the Subtext Insider program right before the game. And I said, I bet Florida to win. I bet the over. So this is going to be a 65-61 game. I was wrong, but I also said, yeah, I bet the over. So this is going to be a low scoring game. I didn't think it'd be this bad. Okay, I didn't think it would be this bad. And my goodness, it was this bad in the best possible way. In the best way. And so, like, the Florida Gators, this is the kind of game where you answered. Because the Kentucky game was bad. I get it, at 10 a.m., I think it was. I think they were in Central Time. So 10 a.m. At Rupp. Like, I totally get it. But it was still a bad overall game. But this time you came out and you went, I'm going to beat the crap out of them. And you went and did it. You did it. You beat them in every single way. They shot 13.8% from three. 13.8. Bad. They shot 60% from the free throw line. They were looking like Florida out there from Saturday against Kentucky. Like, that's what it was. You dominated the glass 55-38. And here's the thing as well. We'll get to a commercial break in a second. But here's the thing as well. When we've talked about Todd Golden and the way he built his team, don't worry, I'm not doing the around the rim twos thing. But he likes to operate by the four factors, right? Which is your effective field goal percentage. Florida blew him out the water, which is the most important part of it. Your offensive rebounding percentage, which Florida blew him out of the water. Your turnover percentage, which Florida blew him out of the water. Okay? And then your free throw to field goal attempt, which Florida lost that one, but that's fine. That is the least important part of the four factors. The theory is that if you win those four factors, you will more often than not win the game. And so Todd Golden has been building this team to get those four factors. And oh my God, they dominated three of them. Great game by the Florida Gators to just beat the crap out of the Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee just can't come to Gainesville and play well, ever, in any sport. They just suck at it. That's going to come back to bite me in the ass in a couple weeks, don't worry, or a couple months. Whenever it happens, it's going to happen to me. But Zakai Ziegler and Chaz Lanier going 7 for 28 from the field is amazing. The rest of the Tennessee Volunteers shot 5 for 28. So they didn't do much better. They were kind of all par for the course. Jordan Gainey going 1 for 11 is bad. That's I have to say it like that. It's just bad. They didn't have a single guy make more than 1 3. They only had 4 guys make a 3. They just got wrecked up and down the court, and it felt like it from the jump. Tennessee, they missed their first 6 shots, I think it was, if not more than that. I know it was 6-0 at the first break, but Chaz Lanier missed jumper. Chaz Lanier missed jumper. Chaz Lanier missed jumper. I didn't know they were all going to be Chaz Lanier. I feel like I'm bullying. Igor Milicic, missed jumper. Zakai Ziegler, missed jumper. Chaz Lanier, turnover. Chaz Lanier, missed jumper. Igor Milicic, or Jordan Gainey, turnover, sorry. Igor Milicic, missed layup. Yeah, Tennessee didn't score until there were, 13 minutes left in the game? Yeah, 13-19 left, in the first half. 13-19 left in the first half. And Tennessee scored their first points, and they were free throws. Okay, it took them until 12:38 remaining in the first half to make their first jumper. Just a whooping. Just an absolute whooping by the Florida Gators. And it was beautiful to see. And if there's any Tennessee fans in here joining us for this celebration, thank you so much for being here. Your team freaking sucks, buddy. The Florida Gators whooping ass. We'll get to the chat when we get back with Locked On Gators. I love going to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, comedy. I've told you guys all about my escapades that we went on in 2024, right? Went to see Shabuzi, went to see that Mexican OT. Went to see Anita, went to see a play on Broadway. We went to see everything, right? We went to see everything, and it was beautiful. And I bought every single one of those tickets on Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account with code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. And if you like making money, which who doesn't, the NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And FanDuel, you can bet every sport, every game. It's a beautiful thing to see. A lot of money to be made there. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day, every day. I'm going to say something real quick because I see Harrison Sanchez in the chat. And Harrison, I don't know why I did the government thing again. But Harrison, I love you. But because of you on Sunday night when you were like, oh, yeah, Georgia really wanted Adrian Maddox. And I was like, well, you couldn't get him. I got posted on Twitter today when Adrian Maddox flipped to Georgia. So that's on you. That's on you, buddy. All right? That's on in the video. I say, yeah, Harrison, right? They wanted him, couldn't get him. But that's on you. All right? So I blame you, Harrison. So I blame that, or so I say that, Yodo, your mom. That's what we're doing there. I don't care about anything. We're going to celebrate, right? We're going to be great. And by the way, we are going to continue going live after as many Florida Gators basketball games as we possibly can. It's a fun thing to do. We love doing it. We love talking the trash there. And so we're going to celebrate every opportunity we can. This weekend, I don't think I'm going to be in an area where I can go live, but next Tuesday, we will be able to go live after the Missouri game as well. But man, Florida looking like because don't forget, after the Kentucky game, we were like, hey, that was your first real test of the season, and you lost. And it could have gone worse, but it didn't go great, right? And so that was your first real test. And then you go and host #1 Tennessee and beat that ass. And I loved it. A lot of messages in the chat here. 35 points in 1958. Thank you so much. I saw that 1968 was 25 points. So thank you so much for 35 points in 1958. That's an ass whooping. I don't know about you, but that's an ass whooping. That's the only way I could look at it, right? Mudkip's here. I love you. Zach Fink is here. Yale Bast is here. Q's in here. Oh, just a ton of people in here. I love it. Tawan's in here. What a hell of a night we got. Is Tuesday night the night to go live? Is that it? Is it Tuesday nights? Is that what it is? I love it. I love it. It's great. It's a beautiful thing. It's amazing, right? He said it's a possibility that 14 teams make it out of the SEC for the NCAA tournament. I don't know. That's a lot, right? That's a lot of teams there that make it there. But this is one hell of a day. All right, Bichet, we're not calling him that, okay? We're not calling him that. Let's just want to throw that one out there. We're not calling him that. We're so back. We're so back. Just know that. It just means more. We are so back. The Florida Gators, they have built a genuine championship roster. It's about getting them to show up week in, week out, game in, game out, and getting them to actually show up and contribute and be ready to play elite basketball. And if you could play like this defensively and put out some of the offensive performances that we've seen from this team, then we're because again, this was a game where you had your lowest scoring output, but you won. Okay, this was Florida's lowest scoring output and their lowest points allowed. Like it's as simple as they beat the crap out of them. Bichet, you're messed up for that. We're not doing it. Mudkip, we're not doing that either. But yeah, I mean, Florida just beat the crap out of Tennessee. And here's the thing. When Florida hits the road now against a competent team, we're going to have to see what they look like, right? Like Arkansas next Tuesday is not going to be, Arkansas this weekend is not going to be an easy game, right? It's not going to be, oh, well, they stunk it up one. No, that's not how it's going to be. We're still at the beginning of SEC play, so it's going to be a while, right? But the Florida Gators, you got Auburn game's going to be really fun, and you do travel to Tennessee the start of February. Yeah, you go to Tennessee to open February, so you're going to have some tough games there. But right now, I mean, this is a team where the expectations are very high, right? And long term, you've got some guys that are going to stick around for a while because that's college basketball, right? There's way more good college basketball players than there are good college basketball players that are also NBA players. So right now you're looking at a team where you're going to have this whole core, again, only playing 8 players in a 30-point blowout, kind of unexpected. But I just would have thought, just to disrespect them, I would have put in everybody that we didn't anticipate playing. But yeah, this is a game where you beat the number 1 team in the country by 30 points, and your best player had 7 points, shot 30%, shot 1 for 6 from 3. I don't know the math on that, but it's probably like 15%-ish. Had 4 turnovers, 4 fouls. Like, he didn't play a great game. But you had Elijah Martin, I don't know what it was. It felt like this game for him was like extra chippy. I don't know what it was. I loved it. I just want to make that one clear. I loved whatever it was, but it felt like this game for Elijah Martin was extra chippy, especially with the Tennessee players. Like, I really don't know what happened with it, but it just felt like they were just going at it and they were just talking trash and getting like, it felt like he was giving some looks that I was like, he kind of want to beat their ass, which he is beating their ass, but he kind of wanted to beat their ass again. Alex Condon is a dude. I mean, you have your bigs pick up 27 rebounds, you're going to win games. Like, it's as simple. You have your 2 big men, your 2 starting big men, just those 2 combined for 27 rebounds. You're going to win a lot of games. It's really tough to beat you there. Like, it's really tough to go, yeah, no, we're going to give up that many rebounds and still be able to beat them. Kentucky just lost by 13 to Georgia. Mike White. What? Like, Mike White has them beating Kentucky down like that? Crazy. It's 82-68 right now with 25 seconds left. Auburn's up early on Texas, not surprising. Missouri's up early on LSU. Mississippi State's up early on Vanderbilt. That's going to be an absolute massacre. But the Florida Gators right now, they're looking pretty hot. Defense needs to continue to show up. And I'm not saying you need to allow 43 points every game, right? Like that's let's get that one out of here, right? But not allowing 43 points. But, if you can hold opponents to in the low 70s, you're going to win a lot of games. right? Because, I mean, and for Florida so far, they've held opponents, been pretty inconsistent. I mean, USF scored 83 on you, right? But Tennessee only scored 43. So USF is 40 points better than Tennessee. That's what I'm hearing, right? Florida just beat the crap out of Tennessee and did it and not just like, oh yeah, Tennessee didn't show up. Florida showed up and they played damn well. Like their defense beat the crap out of Tennessee. Again, attacking the rebounds for me was the biggest thing. Tennessee is one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country, and you held them to 13 while you had 19. For me, that's a big selling point for what this team is capable of, for what these Florida Gators are capable of, is that you held one of the teams that is amazing at that to not being great, right? And Florida now, we're going to look at KenPom for a second. Florida now on KenPom is the 5th best team in the country, only behind Duke, Auburn, Houston, Iowa State, and now it's Florida and then Tennessee. Florida has just barely passed Tennessee in the KenPom rankings. But that was just, again, a great game, right? Like there's just no other way to put it. It was just a fantastic game for the Florida Gators. They beat the crap out of Tennessee. And even when Tennessee got open looks, they were clanking them. Like I feel like the start of the season, or start of the game really got in Tennessee's head and they just never bounced back from it. Like they just couldn't bounce back from it. And Florida, you push the tempo, and when you have a team that's not playing well and Tennessee was trying to push the tempo a little bit, it just crumbled for all of them. And so for Florida, like this was an amazing game to have. And again, even the loss against Kentucky, you shot like crap and you lost by 6. Like you shot horrible from the free throw line. You shot horrible from 3 outside of Walter Clayton or Elijah Martin. In this game, you won by 30 without Walter Clayton playing well. This is a team that the roster is built. Like the roster here is built to be great. They're built to be a championship contender. And this is the year where you might, like this is your year. It has to be. Right now, based on having Walter Clayton, having Elijah Martin, having the guys that you have that are upperclassmen that you're not going to have next year, this is the year to do it. Like, you won't have Will Richard, Walter Clayton, Elijah Martin, which, by the way, this is now back-to-back games where Will Richard has been non-existent in the offense. But he's still playing defense well, or decently at least. But this is a game where, Will Richard got to clean it up. Walter Clayton Jr., bad game. Like, I'm not going to say Walter Clayton Jr. needs to clean it up. He's a tremendous guard. Just had a bad game. But Elijah Martin really stepping up. And Elijah Martin feels like the guy that when comes time for March, feels like he's going to be the guy that kind of takes over a little bit. I don't know what it is. He just plays with a level of confidence and composure that you don't see frequently from college players at all. I'm not saying like, oh yeah, Walter Clayton doesn't have. I'm saying I don't think many college players have that at all. But Elijah Martin seems like the guy. Like he just seems like a dude that is cold-blooded. And again, Denzel Aberdine, another dude. If he keeps developing, we're going to be talking about a pretty good player that hopefully will be back next year as a starting guard. But I think, and Denzel Aberdine's a guy where I look at and I say, NBA. I think that he'll be an NBA bench player. Great defender, occasional ball handler. He's going to be different in the NBA, of course. But I think that Denzel Aberdine's a dude. If this team stays healthy for the most part, we're talking about a run, right? Does Will Richard kind of remind you of Bradley Beal? Not really. I want to say not really, just because I don't think that Will Richard is as good of a scorer as Bradley Beal. I feel like Will Richard is more of a wing guy, and Bradley Beal is more of a true pure guard. And so not really, but I would die for Bradley Beal. I will say that. Tawan, see, this is Tawan Grant Hill. You're showing your age, man. You're showing your age. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Great win for the Florida Gators. Put belt to ass. Hell of a night for the Florida Gators to win 73-43 against the number 1 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. Biggest ass whooping since 1958, I think it said. I think it was 58 of the number 1 team. Hell of a game. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football. We will be back again, not this Saturday, But next Tuesday after the Missouri game, we'll be back live. We're going to cover basketball more often now that we're in the season fully and SEC play has begun. But thank you so much for tuning in. I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work for New York Giants on SI, and I will see you all next time.